When life gives you lemons, what do? Well, most people would say, I'll make lemonade, or I'll make pickle, or I'll add a dash of vodka to it. Because that's how life is. Sometimes sweet, sometimes tangy, and sometimes it'll knock your socks off. But when I asked this gentleman, that came his response. I would squeeze it in somebody's eyes, and we had a hearty laugh about it. Well, he's quirky, he's super sassy, a champion of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and won't take kindly to bullying. This Twitter heartthrob is currently battling cancer, and his energy and fighting spirit is going to give the Big C a run for its money. And we hope that he emerges stronger than ever before. And amid all these health challenges, he still manages to pursue his love for music and cooking. Please welcome on Different Strokes, Gaurav Prabir Pramanik. Thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for agreeing to be a part of Different Strokes. Tell me about the life-altering experience that you had, and how did it change your course?
So the first life-altering experience that I had was actually the striking down of IP7 because that gave me a voice that made me and numerous other voices legal in India. We could talk about homosexuality, and we could talk about our LGBT rights. We could talk about it openly, and we were no longer illegal citizens of this country. So I think that was the first thing that altered my life in such a huge way.
And I remember you mentioning in a tweet, Gaurav, that you actually felt so overwhelmed when that Section 377 was overturned. Why was it like that? Why did you feel so overwhelmed? And you actually wept.
Yes, I did. I think I wept for the entire day after the verdict was out, and I honestly didn't know that it would affect me so much. There are things until it happens to you, you don't realize the importance of it. I think that was the case for me in this case as well. When it was partially scrapped, until then, of course, rights mattered. I was speaking about it, but in hushed tones, because we were illegal citizens then, and if I had to come out very openly about it, I would be jailed. Under the IPC377, So I didn't realize until the verdict was out that it mattered so much to me. So I think I was overwhelmed by the fact that I didn't realize until then that it was such a huge deal. And when it happened and it hit me like a wave, and it was just very, very overwhelming. And I remember locking myself in a room and weeping the entire day, and my parents being worried sick outside, saying what is going on, and me finally revealing myself to them during dinner, and telling them that this is what happened, and they were just like, congratulations.
How lovely. And since we're already talking about 377 and about, the way you felt about it, do you remember the first time you actually revealed to your parents about coming out? What was that?
Yes, like? Actually, it was not my parents I came out to first. It was my grandmother.
Oh, wow.
Who turned 90 last month, 90 years old. And because I grew up with her.
Right.
My parents had transferable jobs. And I studied in this small little hamlet in Darjeeling called Kurseong.
Right.
So I lived with my grandmother most of the time. I was in boarding school, but most of the years I lived with my grandmother. Okay. So when I came out, I was still in school. I was in my 11th when I came out to my grandmother. And I told her that, I like men. And then her reaction was like, it's a growing up phase. Probably all men who went to boarding schools have been through it, because they don't see girls around or the opposite sex around, so it's a phase and all of that. And then I remember 6 months later or something close to that, I went back to my grandmother and I told her that no, I think I'm gay. So she just turned around and said, then you'll have to live with it. Nothing changes. So there wasn't any dramatic incident that happened, but then she even took the trouble to go out and read some literature in terms of homosexuality. She actually went to one of her sons one of my mamas who lived in Kathmandu. She actually went to this organization called the Blue Diamond Society, which is an LGBT society in Kathmandu, headed by one of the first openly gay MPs of Nepal. So she actually went there and read up on this and did some research in terms of what it is and how scientifically it is proven to be right and this and that. So I think she made a lot of effort that way.
That's fantastic.
So that is my coming out story.
It's I think very progressive of her, being at her age. It's I think a great thing at the way she took it. At least what I hear a lot of people saying that you should get this treated, and the reactions are sometimes really over the top. It's just heartbreaking. And what about your parents?
I came out to my parents during a dinner when everybody was there. I have an elder sister, so my elder sister, her then boyfriend, now husband, was also present. So it was more like a family dinner. My dad, my mother, and I just I was, I think, about 21 then, when I told them that over dinner, I told them that your son is gay, and there was not much of a reaction, really. My mother just looked at me and said, "We know."
I'm sure they did.
So I was like, "Yeah, okay."
Nice.
But the funniest thing is, I was expecting drama. I love drama in life, but I didn't get any drama.
Don't we all? We're Indians.
Yeah, but I was like, damn it, no drama. But no, I absolutely empathize with people who face a lot of trouble coming out, who face abuse, and who are subjected to even conversion therapy. We're in 2020, we still have conversion centers in India, which breaks my heart. We just lost one of our members of the queer community recently in Goa at a conversion center to suicide. So that just breaks my heart.
Yeah, we have a long way to go. We do have a long way to go. And since we are talking about 377, what do you think has changed since then?
I think not a lot. But I think we at least the conversation has begun. At least we've got people to sit up and talk about it. We've got corporates to make policies for the queer community. We have companies like Tata, we have companies like Godrej extending healthcare policies to same-sex couples, insurances, etc. Adoption, surrogacy rights. But those surrogacy and everything by law in India made it illegal for a homosexual couple to have a surrogate child or even adopt. But they did form policies which would enable, if the law changes at all, which would enable employees of their companies to be able to do that. So I think not a lot has changed, but also if you look at it from the the corporate policy perspective, I think it's a lot of pink washing also, in a sense that they just want it as tokenism. कि देखो हमने कर दिखाया है, but that doesn't really translate to action and
Right.
that doesn't really trickle down to all employees. Like, I
Right.
can be a policy maker, I can write you 1,000 pages policy, but how are you implementing it?
Right. Right.
That is where it matters.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, it's all about the mindset, right? It's because
Absolutely.
you're surrounded by people, and
Mhm.
policy on paper is really not going to change anything if it's not put into action. And sensitizing people is where I think it all begins. So, since
Yes.
we're talking about sensitization, where do you think we are really lacking as a society? Do you think we're sensitive enough? Are we empathetic? Because, like you rightly said, we have a long way to go. We're not truly an inclusive society yet. So, what do you think do we really need to do to become truly inclusive?
We are absolutely nowhere close to being inclusive. I think even if we were in the past couple of years, we have lost that ability to be inclusive. Look at what's happening around us. Just neighborhood. Like, you don't even need to look far away. Just neighborhoods. Like, just look at every neighborhood. There is a neighborhood which will not allow a certain person from a certain community to rent a house in a society.
Yeah.
Forget that. Forget community. Food habits. Like, if somebody is a non-vegetarian, the person will not be allowed into a society. I've even heard such, such complaints. And so where is the inclusivity? Somebody's food habits should not bother somebody else until somebody's coming and forcefully feeding you that food that somebody else eats.
Yeah.
So I think as a society, India, we've regressed a lot in the past couple of years, and I'm not only talking about it in the political sense. I'm talking about it in every social aspect of it. We've just lost our ability to empathize. Like, for example, very disturbing case happened yesterday about the Hathras rape incident.
Yes.
And I was just going through, conversations on Twitter about how this case came in, and it's very disturbing. And people are now they've literally almost made it like a competition. There are people who are divided, saying this is atrocities against a Dalit woman. And then there is another group of people saying, oh, but not just Dalit women have been raped. There are upper class women also who've been raped. It is not a competition. It's a crime against women.
Yeah.
It's a crime against humanity.
Yeah. And I think it's the media setting the agenda, and what is, they're really deciding for us what's important for us to think about and talk about and not talk about. So it's really boiling down to that.
And I saw one of a major journalist, a lady journalist, talk about how we shouldn't look at it from a caste perspective. But this is intersectionality. That is what intersectionality feminism means. If you don't understand intersectionality, how are you even talking about feminism?
Right.
And this is crime against a woman. Yes. You are a woman. You have to look at it from you have to look at it from all perspectives. Yeah. That is what intersectionality is about. And I was so heartbroken, and I was so angry. And I woke up so angry because I wake up really early, like I mentioned earlier. And I was just reading the news, and I just woke up so angry because of how this case is being treated. The girl was cremated in the middle of the night. Yeah. And it was very, very disturbing. So I've just been very disturbed since morning. I'm sorry if that kind of
that's absolutely
that's a different tone to the conversation, but
it's fine. It's absolutely fine and it's very natural to feel that kind of anger, because as you rightly said, we as a society have really regressed. So speaking of which, how do you think are we going to make a start, to bring about that change? How should we go forward and not backward?
See, I think firstly, we need to educate our men.
I'm so glad you said that.
Our men, we need to raise our boys better. Yeah. We need to tell our boys that it is not right. Yeah. What is right and what is wrong. We need to tell our boys, not the girls.
Yeah.
our boys need to be raised correctly. We need to raise our boys to and teach them about love, about passion, about empathy, about respect.
Yeah.
About respect for everyone.
Yeah.
Who deserves respect.
Yeah, and equality. I think it's a very misplaced.
And absolutely.
Definition. Yeah. And I have a son, he's 5, and I think I have a huge responsibility to turn him into a thorough gentleman who's respectful
and I
everybody.
have a nephew who's 3 years old, and I keep telling him, and I'm a queer man who wears nail paint, and I've recently
I love those colors.
And I've just recently started wearing nail paint is because it kind of distracts me from my pain.
Right.
When I do it in the morning, I wake up and then I decide, which color, and and I do it every day. Though apparently it's not very good for the quality of the nails, though.
Right.
But it distracts me from my pain, and so I was just talking to my niece actually day before yesterday. I have a nephew and a niece. My niece is 5 years old, and so she called me and she's like, Aku is Chacha in Sikkimese, okay? So she calls me Aku. So she's like, Aku, I saw your picture wearing nail polish. I was like, did you like it? She's like, no. I'm like, why? She's like, because I don't like yellow. Wear pink.
Lovely.
So I was like, okay, tomorrow I'll wear pink. And then she was like, all right, then I'll give you a part of my hair so that you can cover your bald head. So I think we have a barter right there.
That's beautiful. I think it's so important to mold kids in a positive way, because this is the right age to talk to them about equality and respect and empathy. These are values that go really, really far in defining who you are.
Right.
It's amazing. Now, since that we were talking about, you touched upon the pain. So when you discovered that you have cancer, the big C, so what was that day like?
I was like, oh no. I was like, okay. So I knew in a sense that when I found out, I kind of had a clue that it could be cancer. So I was already mentally kind of prepared for it. But I didn't question. I never questioned. Until date, I haven't questioned why me or why did it happen. It has always been, oh no, I have to go through this. This is going to be painful, but I can do it. It's always been that. And I don't know where that comes from, because I'm not a very, I don't think I am petrified of, even if I see a lizard. So I'm not all that courageous, and I'm not all that brave as people give me credit for. But I, when I discovered it, I was like, oh no, I mean, it's going to be painful. But I was mentally, I think it was just the mental preparation that I had before I discovered it, which led me to believe that, okay, theek hai, ho gaya, what option do we have?
Right. And have you thought about the day when you're declared cancer-free? What are you going to do about it? I mean, how are you going to celebrate?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I think I'm going to pop a bottle of champagne, though I won't drink it. But I think I will. That's what I was telling my best friend the other day, saying, I think I should order a bottle of nice champagne at least. And then she's like, yeah, do it tomorrow. Order it tomorrow, because it's going to be soon. So yeah. So
Inshallah.
I don't know. I maybe celebrate, inshallah. Yeah. Maybe celebrate it. Yes, I will.
Awesome. I think I love that spirit, and that's what makes a huge difference in the way we take it. And till the time we face that adversity, we really don't know how strong we are. It's just a matter of being tested, honestly. So
that's true.
Kudos to you, really. I mean, I follow you on Twitter. I literally stalk you sometimes in a good way. But I think your tweets really give me a lot of hope, because sometimes, you're down and out and you're thinking, oh, the day is such a rubbish day. But here you are, fighting so much pain and going through chemo. It's just so painful, but you're still able to laugh about it. It's amazing.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. I'm very happy that at least it kind of gives you that kind of a feeling, or inspires you. And that's the whole point of my Twitter. I wanted it to be like a journal wherein I talk about everything. I talk about my pain. I talk about my financial, difficulties, if any, because how expensive cancer treatment can really get.
Yes.
And how insurance companies which claim to have these policies for cancer patients are all scam.
Yeah.
There is nothing called insurance for cancer patients. Let me be very clear on this. These are all scams. They are double riders. There are hidden clauses. So you are basically running from pillar to post.
Right.
So it's just better. So you get more stressed when you take an insurance cover. You'd much rather just finance it yourself. And I've been very privileged. I'm very lucky because I had some savings left, that I did through my work life,
right.
Out of which I'm financing my own treatment. And I refuse to allow my parents to finance my treatment, is because they are both retired. And it becomes a huge responsibility for them at this age. So I didn't want them to take the stress. So I talk about all of these things.
Right.
Not a lot of people talk about it, and I haven't seen people talk about. I have seen people talk about pain and the after effects of chemo and this and that but nobody really talks about mental health. Nobody talks about what people go through in terms of financial impact and all of that. So I want to talk about that. And also I whenever I have a chemo session, I become a vegetable. So I'm a new vegetable every day that there's a chemo session. Yeah. So the last time I was a band gobi.
Yeah.
Next
I read
chemo
that.
session, I don't know what I'll be. Next chemo session, I don't know what I will be.
I hope you flower and do nothing else.
I hope it's not a cauliflower.
Yeah, I hope so. Right. Since we're talking about mental health as well, I'm sure every day is different, and it's a new battle, right? So how do you channel the anguish, the anger, the pain that you go through every day? How do you channel that?
I think I have a fantastic support system, touch wood. Mostly my mother, who basically just lifts me up and picks me up from whatever I'm feeling low. It's just an instant pick me up thing that she does, and she has that magic to do so. I think all mothers do have that talent in them. And I'm sure you do too.
We'll have to ask my son that.
Yeah, someday we will.
Yeah.
But also a huge set of friends who keep checking on me, and if I'm silent for like even half an hour, they'd be like, "What's going on?" Like, what is happening? What are you doing? Why aren't you answering? So there are. So I think it's all support system and all of that, and also of course therapy helps.
Yeah.
A lot of therapy sessions here and there, and then I was also put in. I was put on medication because of my past experience with my work life,
right?
Which is pretty publicly known.
Yes.
Because of which I was quite traumatized and I had to seek help. So I was put on medication then, which I discontinued. And I'm glad I discontinued it, just because I think therapy helps me better than medication.
Right. Since we were talking about the work incident that happened with you a few years ago, what was it like when you learned that lady who was responsible for the harassment was fired? and an action was
Quite,
taken.
quite honestly, I was sad that she lost her job. I thought she would be, I thought she would be reprimanded. Yes. I thought there would be, I thought she would be trained, or she would be, taught how things are done properly. But she was fired. I was quite sad, that it happened instantly, because I did not do it from a perspective of taking or seeking revenge.
Right.
It came purely from a perspective of getting a closure to the kind of humiliation that I faced, or the bullying that I faced. I didn't want to become a bully to her,
right,
in return,
Right.
And the first thought that went was for her children.
Right.
She has two kids, and of course, I mean, the media, kind of encroached into her privacy and blah blah, and that could have affected, and I'm sure it did affect a little bit, did affect her children a bit, and that is what I was worried about. Her children didn't deserve it.
Right.
Maybe she did. Maybe she did. She deserved, and a lot of people believe that she did, because she ruined a lot of lives in the organization.
Right.
A lot of careers in the organization.
Right.
So maybe she did deserve that, but her children didn't. So
Right.
I think that was my first thought. But then in the end, I was also a little content, because I did get a closure.
Right.
I did get a closure.
So do you think now when you think about that incident, do you think you would have done it any differently? Approached the whole issue differently?
I don't think so. I don't think so, because to be very honest, I was quite desperate in terms of wanting a closure.
Right.
Because I was harassed, and I had major mental health issues while I was working there, and I had to seek help. So I was quite desperate, because I needed that closure. That episode needed a closure. That episode needed an ending, which could turn any way, any which way. Like, Tech Mahindra could have easily come back to me and said that no, none of your allegations are right.
Right.
None of those people who spoke for me, or who spoke to the ombudsman team, the investigating team, none of them I know. I didn't know anybody of these people who spoke to the ombudsman team. These were people who worked with her before I worked with her, or after I worked with her. And these people anonymously contacted me and told me that they would be more than happy to speak to the investigating team about the kind of behavior they've been met with.
Right.
So it could turn any which way, and Tech Mahindra could just dust off my allegations, saying, an unsatisfied employee who was probably just let go.
Yeah, it's bitter.
And so but then I was lucky enough to get a lot of support from
Right.
people, and the ombudsman did their investigation, and and the result was out within a week.
Right. So, Gaurav, it's a very important conversation that we're having right now. There are a lot of people who get bullied at work, right? There's dirty politics, and you get pulled down, and obviously there's a lot of mental trauma that they have to go through. There's a lot of costs that people pay for sometimes being harassed, but they don't have the courage to stand up against bullying and harassment at work. For whoever you are, regardless of your gender and your sexual orientation, there is no way it's acceptable, right? What would you want to say to people who may have gone through a similar experience but haven't had that kind of closure that you had?
I think I understand, because there are limitations in terms of what one can do in an organization, because let's face it, it's your bread and butter.
Yeah.
You go to work to earn a living. Your career is at stake. So at times, some people just silently suffer because they don't have an option. And you know, like in current times, if somebody's going through it, I completely empathize with you. And if somebody wants to reach out to me, please reach out to me if you want to talk about it. You know, and I'd be very, very happy to just listen to you. I might not be one of the most qualified person to kind of give you an advice as to what to do, but I can listen to you. At least you can tell me about your problems and feel a little lighter. But and there are numerous limitations to this, because and if you look at the current market, there are no jobs.
Yeah.
So even if you want to do something like that, complain, raise the issue with HR and kind of bring it out in public, and then you kind of tend. Of course, there's a fear of losing a job, because the case can go anyway.
Right.
Because people in the if the person who's harassing is in the leadership, you know how influential they can get.
Yes.
And how much influence they can use.
Yeah.
So I understand if somebody's going, and I completely empathize with these people who are probably, and I hope there are not many people who are going through bullying and all of that. But if you are, if there is a channel, if there's a right channel in the organization where you can raise this, please do so.
Right.
Please do so. If there's a grievance cell that you could approach, if there is an and every corporate house in India has to have an ombudsman cell.
Right.
So if you can always reach out to the ombudsman cell anonymously, and you can raise it with the HR, and I hope you do. And if by any chance you don't think that it is very safe for you to do so, and you'd want to speak with me or want to speak with anybody who you think could give you an advice, please reach out.
Right. Yeah. Thank you for that. I think it's a very important point that we're bringing here, and I'm really glad we're talking about this. Well, let's move on to something more fun. I know that you have this love for food, so tell me about that.
Oh yes. So my love for food is it began because of my grandmother. My grandmother is a fantastic cook, like all grandmothers are.
Right.
So I've also written a book which is due to come out, which was due to come out sometime earlier this year, but because of thanks to COVID, has been delayed now to the end of this year, I think, or could be delayed more because I haven't still gotten a date yet. Whatever I learned or whatever I cook, I learned it all from my grandmother. So this book that I've written is dedicated completely to my grandmother, and it has all the recipes that I learned from her, with little anecdotes of how I learned.
Right.
How I learned it, like the story behind how I learned this particular recipe and all of that. So yes, food. I am a self-declared Momo expert on Twitter.
Right.
So everybody gets in touch with me if they want Momo recipes and chutney recipes and all of that. And people keep tagging me. If there is a Momo hater somewhere on Twitter, people keep tagging me. Okay. And I just reply with just one line, "Bandar gaya jane adrak ka swad."
Momo ka swad.
Yeah.
That's lovely. I'm already salivating. So, since we're talking about food, let's also talk about some other things that Gaurav is passionate about.
Other things that I'm passionate about, most definitely music. Music is something that calms me down, that soothes me. I play the ukulele. Though I broke my ukulele, my ukulele broke during the cyclone Amphan, and I haven't had the heart to replace it because you know how emotionally connected you are to a musical instrument if you've been playing it for too long or you've owned it for so long. and I haven't had the heart to replace it. And plus, you have to go out to buy it. You have to actually like feel it and see if you connect with the instrument. So I haven't had the time also to do that. So, but music, yes, I love playing the ukulele and love listening to music. Rahman being one of my favorite composers. That is what I'm passionate about. Apart from that, nail paints now.
Absolutely. If anything Gaurav cannot do.
Yes, there are a lot of things Gaurav cannot do. He can't drive.
Okay. I can't drive anymore.
I can.
Either. So that's...
No, I can drive, but I hate driving. And I can't drive in the hills. Because there's always this fear that I might drive off a cliff. Because
please don't drive.
Yeah, so that is why
you don't want to turn into a James Bond flying off a cliff.
Yeah. And I don't own those Aston Martins.
Yes.
Which would suddenly, pop out like wings.
Yeah, and they land straight flat on the land. Anyway.
Yeah.
Okay, let's get into a rapid fire section, Gaurav, since we are pumped up with energy now.
Oh dear.
Yeah. One word that you would want to say to social media trolls.
Mute.
Yeah, I wish. A regret that you have in life.
No regrets. Absolutely no regrets.
Awesome. What's your mantra in life?
My mantra is very simple. Do things that you want to. Don't regret what you do, and don't do things that you'd regret.
That's a very sound advice. Advice as well. Very, very sound mantra. If you could define your life in a song, what would it be?
In a song. Hua Chokra Jawanre from this. Do you know that song?
Yes, of course.
From Ishaq Zadeh.
Yes.
I think Hua Chokra.
I'm a huge Bollywood fan, yeah. Not lately. I mean, they've been just releasing trash, but there are some gems out there.
Of course.
Okay. When Gaurav is not inspiring people and cooking in the kitchen, what else is he doing?
Buying a lot of kurtas.
Oh yeah, I've spotted a few of those. They're beautiful.
Measuring myself to send it to someone to make me a kurta.
Right.
That's, I think, my favorite pastime these days.
Nice.
Because I don't have the ukulele anymore. Right. If I had the ukulele, then I would have been playing the ukulele, but I don't have the uke anymore. So kurta's my next best option.
That's awesome. If you had a superpower, what would it be?
That's a tough one. I wish I had many. But if I had I think healing somebody from their pain. I think that I would use it on myself also. I'm being very selfish here. I would use that on myself also, but also for other people. If I could heal somebody's pain.
What's your guilty pleasure?
Can I say momos, or that'll be too obvious?
No, it's fine. What's your
momos.
chocolate momos, by the way? Sorry.
I absolutely detest it.
Yeah, I thought so.
Absolutely detest it. I love chocolate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love chocolate, but no, that's not the combination.
I think it's blasphemous to make a chocolate momo in the first place.
Yeah, like, what are those even?
Right. One thing you'd like to put on your bucket list?
So I think I just recently put one, which is traveling with my friend Priyashmita to Croatia.
Wow.
After I get better and after the travel restrictions are over.
Right.
Traveling to Croatia with Priyashmita and just drinking champagne every day and not water.
That's lovely. That's the best way to celebrate life.
Yeah, so that's what we've decided.
Awesome. What's your favorite movie character? Please don't say
My
James
favorite
Bond.
movie character. No. I don't have the Ashton Martin thing. I think Iron Man.
Aren't you one in real life already?
I wish. I wish I had that sort of money though.
Right. Last question. When life gives you lemons, complete the sentence.
You just squeeze it in somebody's eyes.
Ouch. Why would you do that?
I don't know why I said it. But that's what you used to do when you were kids in school, you know.
Yeah.
Not lemon, but orange peels.
Yes.
And run. Like you just squeeze it and run.
Right. Well, that's interesting. You're talking about childhood. Actually, what was your childhood like? I'm just curious to know.
Fantastic. I think I grew up in the hills. So a lot of trekking, a lot of mountain climbing, a lot of rock climbing as a pastime. A small town, so everybody knew everyone. So you really couldn't do bad things out in the public. When I say bad things, you couldn't smoke.
Right.
You couldn't drink at a bar. While growing up, because everybody knew everyone. So the news would anyway reach home within like minutes.
Right.
Except for the bullying part. But then that kind of I was a very mouthy kid. So I would give it back to them, like and I recently saw. I'm sure you know Leslie Jordan, the actor, who's now this Instagram, celebrity.
Right.
He said that like he learned to be sassy because of the bullies, and I so relate to that because I was a very mouthy kid. So I learned. I would sass people out if they would bully me in school. Like I was not physically fighting them, but verbally I was there. Like I had an answer or a pat response to everybody who bullied me.
Right. I think I hope you continue to do that. Be sassy, be kick-ass. Continue to do that, and hope you feel better soon, and you're free from the big C very soon.
Thank you so much.
And you pop open that champagne
Inshallah.
very soon. Thank you so much. It has been lovely talking.
Inshallah. Thank you so much.